Hello, I'm Smriti Halls and I'm absolutely thrilled to be shortlisted for the Little Rebels Award along with Robert Starling for our book, The Little Island. It's a dream come true.
Hi, I'm Robert Starling and I illustrated The Little Island. So excited to be nominated along with Smriti for this Little Rebels Award. It means a huge amount to us and we're thrilled that the messages of this story are getting out there and being heard.
The Little Island is set on a farm where all the animals are at liberty to live and work where they choose. It isn't perfect and they don't always agree because, let's face it, animals almost never do, but they like it. The ducks and geese live on a little island on that farm, which is connected to the rest of the farm by a bridge. And one day the geese begin to gossip. They say to one another, "Why does everyone come to our part of the farm so often?" And they agree that they're simply not safe. And so they call a midnight meeting with their friends the ducks, in which they say, "Our island was once a green and pleasant land. The grass was greener, the apples were redder, the food tasted better." And they decide that they want to break ties with the rest of the farm. The ducks are in disagreement, but there are more geese, ever so slightly, than ducks, and so they peck away the bridge that unites them. And the Little Island is the story of what happens after that. What happens when the geese discover just how much they rely on the other animals, and what happens much later than that when the foxes arrive and discover a small island, unprotected, friendless and vulnerable.
As we began work on this project, the country seemed so full of heated words and I was really glad to be part of a different kind of narrative, a message of hope, a celebration of togetherness and how much we can achieve when we work together.
I wrote The Little Island at a time where all around there seemed to be great division and disagreement. I was acutely aware of the rise of quite frightening attitudes following the 2016 referendum. And what troubled me most was the emergence or re-emergence of a sort of language of hate directed at anyone seen as other. We started to hear words and names that have long been considered completely unacceptable on the lips of all sorts of people, including those holding high office. We heard slogans that compounded fear on a global scale, and it was always accompanied by a consistent hankering for a former glorious past that must be retrieved at any and every cost. This set of circumstances compelled me to write a book that would counter the language of hate with a language of hope. I wanted to write a book that would speak peacefully and powerfully into those situations with a story of compassion and solidarity and tolerance to show just how much we rely on and gain from one another. In The Little Island, I've tried to translate some of the complexities and divisions that we see in the world around us into a story that is simple enough and satisfying enough for even the smallest reader to grasp.
I knew as soon as I read this text that it was going to be something a little bit different and a bit special to work on. It's a book that deals with big themes, but we knew from the start that we wanted to bring a lightness of touch throughout the book. We looked for ways to bring humour into every situation so that the story didn't become too heavyweight. I had a lot of fun bringing to life the various characters on the island. The first image that I worked on was the barn scene. I spent the first few sessions trying to capture the image that popped into my head, the clandestine meeting, the flickering light, the bouncing of information and misinformation. It's a pivotal moment in the story. It's the moment where the geese cross a line which is going to have a huge knock-on effect for the future of the farm. I was a teacher for many years and picture books were always a really useful tool for engaging with a often difficult theme or a big topic. They're a way of framing a discussion in an accessible way. I was really thrilled that I got the chance to be part of one of those kinds of picture books.
The Little Island is a story that could be applied to many contexts globally, and I hope it's a book that really makes us think about how we relate to our neighbours. Because as we turn on the news today in the wake of a global pandemic, a refugee crisis and race riots, it seems more important to me than ever that we find a way to come together and look after one another.
we really hope that you enjoy this story and that it can be a little beacon of hope at this difficult time.
This is a story where voices are raised for good, to unite, to show friendship, rather than to cause hate or division. I hope it's a book that will give answers, but more importantly, raise questions.